it is amazing what it does for the mind to just be able to get out and enjoy what's going on around you.
Photographer Paul Brooks has a love of nature, but it doesn't stop there. His passion for sharing, not just his talents, but his time, to help others get that same feeling, as he takes us to the heart of his story.
My name is Paul Brooks. I am a photographer and videographer, wildlife, storms, you name it, and I do powder coating for a living.
What got you into photography?
I think the thing that got me into photography the most was just a natural love of nature. I liked going out in nature, and then I figured I might as well start documenting it. So that's what got me into photography. It evolved from just animals to storms and a whole bunch of other things.
How old were you when you started photography?
I started my first film camera when I was 16.
Do you remember that feeling when you looked at the first few images that you captured?
The first time I developed one of my shots, yeah, I remember that. It's unlike any other feeling in the world.
So let's talk about the excitement level after almost 3 decades. When you hear about a bird or an animal that you maybe haven't gotten yet on camera or haven't gotten a good shot, do you still get excited?
To a certain extent, yes. There's a little bit of anticipation that comes with knowing, hey, I'm going to go try to get a couple of photos or videos of this specific species. It's tempered over the years to where it's less of a true excitement and more just, okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? How can I frame this to tell a story better?
In telling that story, where did you learn the techniques for that, or are you self-taught?
It's completely self-taught. I see things in my mind that I kind of want to tie together. I see what others have done and try to emulate that sometimes, but also put my own little spin on it.
So the other day I spent two 6-hour days trying to get a special shot of a trumpeter swallow. And you probably had the same feeling where I got all these other shots, but I wanted one of it landed in the water somewhere close enough.
Yes.
And you get determined to get the shot.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Sometimes it just doesn't happen, and that's where patience and perseverance comes in. Sometimes it's 2, 3, 4, 5 days before you get exactly what you're looking for. It's time well spent, in my opinion, because that shot combined with what else you've got can tell an even bigger story sometimes.
Yeah, plus it just feels good to get that shot.
Yep.
You know, you get that internally, yeah, I got that.
Sometimes it's not just internal, sometimes it's external too. There's a little bit of excitement that gets out.
So it was one of the moments recently when he discovered a snowy owl, and we went to work.
You've studied the habitat, and that's part of what you do to be able to get the shots that you get. You have to put a lot of work in to know the eating habits, the habitat in general.
Correct. They're a northern Arctic visitor that comes down usually every year to Iowa. Not necessarily in great numbers. Sometimes there's only 2 or 3, sometimes there's 14 or 15. We've had eruption years where there's been 30 or 40. What I study is more their habits when they're hunting for that specific species. I've watched videos from a ton of other photographers and videographers that have actually made the trip up north and have documentation of how they hunt the lemmings in their homeland. What they do down here is they hunt voles, but it's very similar flight pattern and technique that they use on the voles that they use on the lemmings up north.
So that gives you an idea of where to stage, if you will, where to set up and anticipate it's going to go potentially from here to there?
Yes, and I also watch their movements. They will tell you when they're getting ready to move and which direction they're going to move actually. If you pay close enough attention to their talons and their wings, they will tell you which direction they are going to go. They are a very large owl compared to most species except for the great horned and the great gray. And coloration-wise, there's no other owl in the world that is mostly white with a little bit of barring on it. They're absolutely gorgeous.
Now, an owl sitting still is one thing, but But how can you be ready for the moment when it takes flight?
In my case, I prefer a slightly overcast sky. That way the bird is evenly exposed for. I will photograph them in what most people call good light, but I tend to prefer cloudy days for the snowy owls. I figured out my exposure settings for them, so I know exactly where I want to be at as far as my exposures are concerned. I know where I can go as far as my shutter speeds are concerned, and my camera does an excellent job of tracking them on cloudy days too, so that makes it a little bit easier.
And there is a peace out in this field, a peace that works its way inside of you.
And some people may not understand, but there's almost a healing you get, and this feeling you get. It's a recharge of the batteries you get from sitting in the woods, waiting and enjoying nature and seeing what it has.
Very much so. For me, it's a physical recharge, and it's also a mental recharge. It physically gives you more energy, but mentally, it can actually completely wipe your palate.
And just as important to him, sharing that enjoyment so that others can experience not only what he sees in his photos, but have the chance to show them how they can get that feeling for themselves.
What is it about it that you like the most? What brings you joy?
More than anything else, I like to be able to teach others, and using the photos to teach others, and then also experiences. Sometimes you run into other birders, groups of school children, and you're able to share some of your knowledge with them, both through the photos and through your words. Absolutely one of the best feelings in the world. I love to be able to teach others, especially when it comes to photography. So when somebody takes something that I've taught them and comes back with a shot that makes their day, it makes my day. When I'm able to teach others about just nature in general, not just photography, but nature in general, and then they're able to go out on their own and find a species that they've never seen or that they've never heard or documented before, they come back, hey, this made my day, that makes my day too.
Thanks to our sponsors, Peterson Plumbing and Heating, QCA Pools and Spas, and Morrison Community Hospital.